So the letters are in different groups, as you can see on the picture you just saw. We're just going to do one of the letters now. There are storybooks that you can do the story of each letter, but with probably certainly for year 2, they'll have had the stories already. They just need to be recapping the letters before going on to learn the joins. But year 1, you might use the letters probably still, and certainly reception. The storybooks are quite good. So what you might do when you're teaching a letter is, if you haven't got the storybook, you might say, well, I've got a little story about a letter. The monkey, you'll say which one it is. So in this case, it's Skip. He jumped down off the tree, and he went back up and pushed over, and he went down, up, and a little flick. Oh, what letter does that look like? And then they'll all say N or N. And then you'll learn the actions, and then they'll practice writing it. So actions, you can either do them in Meerkat, which I will for the purposes of this video because it's a bit short of space in this little room that I'm in. I do hope you like my Crayola easel. So I'll do it in Meerkat. I'll do it side on because it's probably easier for you to see the things. With your letters, you go, when you hit the ground, you do a bump to signify that you've touched the ground. It's very important that they do that. When they're bumping the ground, it's like them bumping the lines, so that they realise they've got to sit their letters on the line. And the way they do it, you don't say, sit your letters on the line, which they probably wouldn't understand. You just say, don't forget to bump the ground or bump the line when you're doing it. I teach the letters using the left hand because the majority of children are right-handed. And then when you're doing that, you'll be going the right way for them. Obviously, you've got to do it back to front unless you want to face the wall. But at least they're pulling it across the bodies or pushing it away when you're doing that. There's movements to go down and up, there's bumping, there's pushing over, and then there's pulling as well, which pulls towards you. So let's have a look at what N would look like. So you would be going down, bump, back up, push over, down, bump, flick. And you're going to the short branch, so that's why you don't go above your shoulder. If you're doing a tall letter, you'll be going up here to the tall branch. So H would be down, bump, back up just to there, because that's Skip's branch, push over, down, bump, flick. Okay, so what you can do when you draw your tree to help them is you can put dotted lines across here, or you could do them in a different colour. So they know with the letter height where they're going to and where they're going from. And on the sheets that we practice writing on, I haven't got them here, I'll get them in a sec, they've got those lines on them so they know where to go. So the whole idea of letter height is taught using these branches. So with N, Skip's doing it, so we don't go above our shoulders, and H, or tall letters. And then with your descenders, they're going down into the pit, which we'll see later. So with these cards, there are one for every letter, and it tells you all the moves at the bottom, so that you know the rhymes. You've got the tree there to help you. There's one with a descender. So when you go down, it goes down, on, down, because it's going down below the line rather than a down bump. And Q's the same, so we're going pull around, up, down, on, down, flick. So the little flicks are very important in the letters. They can only be little because we don't want huge ones. They've got to be little and controlled. And they are going to be the hooks for when we do joins. Okay, all the letters are in a letter family, and the letter families relate to the moves, the key moves that the children make when they make the letters with their bodies and when they write them. So we've got the jumper family first. These letters all start by one of the monkeys jumping out of the tree and going down, bump, back up, push over. That's the key move. So all those letters, if you look, have all got that moving down, bump, back up, push over. R has just those moves, and all the others have other moves after, but they all start with that move. Then we have the Abracadabra family, my favourites, and these are magicked from C in the Party Adventure storybook. So they all start by pull around and push along the ground, pull around and push along the ground. Then for A you'd go pull around and push along the ground, up, down, bump, flick. So those letters are all made like that. Then we have our window cleaner families where we are making our letters, pretending we've got squeegees, and we start by coming out of a tree and then squeegeing back up. So we do a down, bump, flick for I, and then put a dot along the top. With L we go down, bump, flick. So they just start really, we're just pretending to squeegee things, and in there we've got L, T, I, and U is in that one because it does that at the end of its letter. We have the special squirter family, E, all alone, and this is the elephant squirting out the water, so he pushes across, he goes up, pull around and push along the ground. There's C occurring again. Then we have our fisher family, and all of these are where the monkeys go fishing underneath to try and get fish. So they start with a down, on, down, pull around to catch a fish. And then they might start with something else. So G starts with pull around and push along the ground, up, down, on, down, pull around to catch a fish. And then last but not least, we have the slider families, and all of these have some sort of a slide in the letters. These are actually the most difficult to do and get the proportions right, because it's really hard to slide evenly, but they all start by sliding down mountains, and there we go. So it's just the slide move. And so there are our letter families. Thank you. Okay, so in Year 1 and reception they have whiteboards with the trees on and lines, but last year we didn't have the whiteboards to start with, so we started by using paper to practice the writing with. They want to be doing this on the floor as strong lizards. There are different sizes of paper. This is the one I made for Year 1 when they were first learning the letters. There are other sizes available, probably more appropriate for Year 2. So you've got wider, and then it starts to get narrower, so that they can, as they improve their handwriting, it gets more like the size that they've got in their books. So when they are writing in lizard, so I shall just get myself into a lizard position. What you'll do is you'll teach the letters and they'll do the moves, so you've got them nice and active, either standing or meerkat. I prefer standing, if I'm honest, because they have to work harder. So then you'll get them to say write a row of your best N's if we're doing N. So then you would get them to, I model it on the visualiser often, so I'll be going down, bump, back up, push over, down, bump, flick, and then I do another one, down, bump, back up, push over, down, bump, flick, and down, bump, back up, push over, down, bump, flick, and then you might say do as many as you can fit in. But the reason I've got the trees halfway along is we found it was too far when we just did one without them in the middle. When you've got them in the middle, it means they don't lose where the height is for the middle branch. And then you might just do that many, and then you might do some words, so get them to write different words. Again, I've modelled them on the visualiser. So let's write no, so we do down, bump, back up, push over, down, bump, flick. Then we'll do an O, pull around and push along the ground, round, back, and make a tiny flick. So there we go, that's the letter guide, so they're very useful to use, and they've got the trees on so they can get the proportions right. Okay, so that's a very, very quick introduction to kinetic letters. And what I'll probably do is, once you've had perhaps a go at teaching it maybe for a week or so, is perhaps we'll get together and talk about anything else you need to do, other tips if you're struggling with anything. There are rhymes for the numbers as well as letters. There's rhymes for lowercase, uppercase, and numbers, and there's different families of numbers as well, so we can go through all of that. So when you're teaching then, really we always do moves. At the start of each lesson you might recap what they've done the rest of the week. Probably what I'll do is I'll email you an example plan where you'll see it build up over the week. And it's practice, 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 and then in obviously writing in English and you're doing corrections, we obviously always try and include a bit about handwriting. So every lesson, make sure they're doing the moves, make sure they're doing the pencil grip correctly, picking that pencil up properly, make sure they're doing the moves, being active when they're forming the letters, and then practicing on their tummies. Got to be tummy writing to get those bodies strong. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson from Miss Sybil, and I'll see you all soon.